Of the show today. We're talking to Miss Princess Gordon Patton, who is the communication specialist at Tennessee State University in the Department of Extension. And of course, Ms. Patton, before we had our first commercial break, you were giving us some information about minorities and minority participation in journalism. And let's allow you to continue that, because we do understand that you have a program that you've designed and that has been implemented dealing with minorities in journalism, and it's called the Ida B. Wells Journalism Internship Program. And let's have you to do that. But first of all, let's talk about the founder of that program. I mean, the person who you associate that program with, Miss Ida B. Wells.
Well, Ida B. Wells was a brilliant journalist, and she had her heyday around the first part of this century. She was a writer, and she wrote lots of articles about lynching. She had a passion about what was happening, and she wanted to paint a picture with words for people. So she wrote these articles in such graphic details that many times it either offended people, or their hearts were really touched. But she wanted to bring it to their attention so that they would do something about lynching. And she talked a lot about what led up to lynching, and the kinds of things that African Americans would be guilty of would be, for example, registering to vote, or you were in a court case and you gave testimony against a white person, and then very unfortunately maybe you passed by another lynching that would get you lynched. So those are the kinds of things that she talked about. And as I said, she was very adamant with that, and her newspaper articles just went all over the country. And around 1884, she had an incident. It was sort of like a Rosa Parks incident. She was on a train. She was traveling first class. At that period of time, you may recall, it's a Reconstruction era. So things were a little bit better for African Americans, but things had changed again, had changed hands, and now all of a sudden there were these separate but equal laws. And so she was asked to leave the front where she was in first class and take a seat in the back. And so after that train ride, she just decided to file a lawsuit, which she did, against the railroad, and she won that case. But it was overturned by the state Supreme Court.
In Tennessee, the Tennessee.
So it was overturned. So that was just the kind of thing that would happen. But, of course, she had a great effort, but that she could not win in that instance. But that's mainly what she was about. And what we're trying to do in our program is to carry on the energy that she had. She was an investigative journalist, so if there was a case and something was going on, she knew how to go in there and who to ask questions and what questions to ask, so that she could get the best idea of what the situation was all about. And that's what we want to do.
You want to train intern. Now, who are these folks that this program has been geared toward, and the people that you're focusing upon outside of just being minorities? I mean, give us some information about the people you're trying to attract and why you want to attract them, and some of the information about what you're planning on doing with them after you attract them there.
Well, this program began about 9 years ago at the Tennessean newspaper. While I was there, I wasn't one of those who began the program, but I served in the first one, and I have been in it the subsequent years in some capacity. What we were looking for in the very beginning were high school students. The idea was to give them a choice early in their careers before they actually decided to go to college. Maybe they would consider this as a life's career. And we were looking at mainly African Americans, but the program also has had people from Kurdish descent. We've had Hispanics, we've had Asians. So we take, and even with religion, if you have a religious ethnicity, we will accept you as well. But we feel that the big picture of the world is all minorities are not always the center of the focus. All non-minorities are not the center of the focus. When we go out there in the world, we've got to work with all people. So we also do make space for those, for white children as well in the program, but the focus is mainly for those who are minorities, so the majority of the positions do go to them. And as I say, mainly they're high school students, usually between the ages of 14 and 19. We have had students come from Arkansas and from Mississippi and Georgia. And Atlanta sends us quite a few students, so that is really exciting to think that they care enough about a program that they would put kids on a bus, sometimes 6 kids, and bring them to Nashville for this program. And it's a 3-week program. The students stay on the campus while they're here, and they are involved in a classroom situation. It's much like a simulated newsroom. We turn a classroom into a newsroom each summer, and they have access to computers. And we have a staff member from the Tennessean who comes. This year it's Tammy Smith, and Tammy has done this program before. And we work with them and give them lots of ideas about good writing. We teach them how to write a news story. We teach them how to hunt for information, where to do your research, if it's the library or the internet or whatever. We help them with those skills. And then when they set up interviews, we help them as well. We give them good skills for interviewing. And we hope that what this will lead to is they will decide when they leave the program that they want to continue in this vein. And many of them do go on to work on their high school newspapers. Some work on their college newspapers and yearbook staffs. And we have had some graduates who have actually gone into journalism once they have graduated from college. And we even have an emphasis on photography. We've tried to decide which students are really interested in photography, and we have a photographer who comes in and works with us. And this person helps the students with their pictures. They get some darkroom experience, and it's just a great all-around program all around. And at the end of the this 3-week period, they bring all of that together, all of their stories and all of their photos. And from it, we produce a 16-page tabloid newspaper.
And so this is, how many years have you had this? This is not
This
the
is
first,
the 9th year.
This is the 9th year that you've been involved in the program.
Yes.
And of course, you were one of the first in the earlier program. Is that
Right.
is
I
that
worked in the program.
Very good. And now, one of the things we'd like to find out after our commercial break, which is coming up within the next half minute here, about how this program is funded. It does seem to be quite an expensive program in terms of bringing young people from a wide area and housing them and feeding them and dealing with them for at least 3 weeks, and et cetera, that it has to be some kind of financial resources that have to be allocated. And I want to talk about that and who is responsible for that and of course, I guess you would still encourage young people, if possible, to get in contact with you in reference to this. And we'll talk about more of that when we come back following this second commercial break. Thank you and welcome back to this final segment of the show for today. We're talking to Ms. Princess Gordon Patton, who is the communications specialist